What's up? We got some price action in the chart. Should we be scared? Absolutely not. We got opportunity still, baby. We got these things lining up. We have targets set to make sure that we could take advantage of anything that happens in this market. We've been calling some incredible signals in the signals lab. We've got some great charts and conversation and setups also in the BitLab Academy, but we are here live right now, and we are going to be talking about exactly what we should be looking at in this market. So if you can get behind that, if you're ready, are you scared? Throw a 1 in the chat if you're scared. If you're not, if you're ready just to get set up, throw a 2 in chat. I hope I see a ton of 2s. If we see some 1s, I'm going to quell those fears, but let's get it going. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's go. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're at. We got some exciting price action happening as we talk right now in this market. I actually had to change the thumbnail on what's going on here on the stream because we have, some market movement, and we got to talk about exactly what's going on. If we come down here on the 7-minute chart, I'm going to double click on this. You don't see it yet, I know. But if we look at what's going on here, we see the price action just spilling down from this trend line, same spot in which it rejected from here. I'll show you exactly what that is here in a few moments. But the interesting thing we have to pay attention to is this is looking precariously like a head and shoulders, suggesting the bullish attempt failed. Larger bullish attempt failed. Weaker bullish attempt failed. The target out of this, if you measure this from this level right here, from the top to essentially the neckline, let's actually go a little bit deeper. We essentially go like this, and we drag this down, and we see a target down here in the lower 56.3, 56.2 sort of region in the price action. I do see Sawtooth Hiker just gifted 5 BitLab Academy memberships. I appreciate that. Every time I see you guys doing a super chat, joining here in BitLab Academy, signing up with CoinW, and joining in our signals lab, whatever, just participating in this community so we can grow together. A big love to you. Thank you very much for being a giver there, Sawtooth Hiker. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. But we got to talk about this because when we come over here and let's go ahead and refresh this because things have changed. 58.2. Remember, we're talking another potentially $2,000 down. Is there a larger target to the downside? We have to talk about that because there are signals that there's potentially a setup that's been screaming in our faces for moves to the downside. But in the same time that we're seeing these dips, some people are getting scared. And while some of us are getting scared, we also saw a $2.9 billion worth of Bitcoin purchased in this recent dip. So we got to talk about what's going on. When we look at the markets, I don't see one green bubble on here. Everything is red. So is it DOT that failed? Is it XMR that failed? Is it VET that failed? Is it Matic that failed? No, the market is having a pullback. We had some economic data come out today. And while it was actually bullish, if you're considering the narrative towards Fed rate hikes, the market's not performing like we want it to. But the market doesn't perform like we want it to. The market is there to eat people alive that are impatient. The market moves money from the impatient to the patient. And I would argue that the majority of people in the world are impatient, which is why there's such a disparagement of wealth equality when you look specifically at investments. It's because people jump in and they're jumping in on a hope. They're not jumping in to the fear of the market. They're not looking at data. They're not setting up the strategy to dominate. But it is Friday, so let's make sure, regardless of what's happening with the price action right now, we are going to be in a good mood. We are going to be grateful. We are going to be okay with whatever the market does because we are setting ourselves up for success. We're not just riding a hope train or jumping out on the fear train. No, we are going to use the momentum in both directions to our advantage. Whether you're a long-term holder or a short-term trader, we're going to make sure we keep you in the know with meaningful tools, content, resources, and obviously a freaking empowering community, because that's what this is about. So everybody, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, we are dual streaming now. So shout out to everybody on both sides. Make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, show some love. Subscribe, whether you're on Twitter, make sure you're subscribing also over here on YouTube, dinging that bell. Again, my name's Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the BitLab Academy stream. We got some things to cover today because we got some interesting charts and we're going to dive into it. So let's talk about what is going on here. Well, first off, we had the PCE data come in today. About 2 hours ago, almost three. It's about 3 hours ago now. But the PCE data, which is a personal consumption expenditure, we don't care about that, do we? Yes, you got to. If you're trading in these markets, if you are investing most specifically in these markets, you have to understand the context of the financial landscape. If you're looking to make any meaningful progress in these markets, especially, that means expanding what you have, right? The government's done a good job of devaluing the time you spend to earn what you have. So let's do our part here to expand those dollars that we have made against that debasement that the government's doing on us and make sure that we're putting ourselves in a good position. So why do we care about the PCE? Well, let's go ahead and talk about the numbers first, and I'll tell you why. The reported data came in at 2.5%. The expectation was 2.6%. Okay, that should be good, right? Well, we see that the data came in below expectations. And so what does this mean? As is known, a rise in the PCE usually indicates increasing inflationary pressures, aka inflationary pressures are coming down because things are coming in under expectation, which may feed or it may lead the Fed to decide to raise interest rates. That's if you have a rise. We just had a fall in PCE and we're starting to get back towards a normalcy, but it's all a farce anyway. We have to all understand that. Getting back to 2% inflation doesn't mean prices go back to where they were. Everybody needs to realize we're never going back to where we were with prices how they were pre-2022, pre-2021, pre-2020. It's not going to happen. We saw roughly about a 24% increase in the cost of everything. And now, because it's been a couple years, where things that get logistics, supply chain, everything got sort of back in line. Now we are trying to bring the inflationary pressures down to 2%. That's from the level they increased to. You are not going to get $1.38 eggs. It's never happening again. We have entrenched inflation now. We have entrenched prices. And the measure at which that they're celebrating is that we're no longer rising as fast as we did when we just had a 24% increase in everything. So that's what we need to realize. And the reason this is important is because although we did get the PCE numbers down, it says increase in interest rates puts pressure on traditional finance markets and generally leads to a flight from risky assets. So the inverse of this, which if interest rates are cut, hopefully that's going to bring risk back into the markets. But it doesn't always just mean markets go up. Everybody needs to realize, although Bitcoin is sitting in an incredibly bullish situation right now in terms of the structure and where we're at, not just on the halving cycle. The halving cycle also happens to be overlaid with the global liquidity cycle. So it's not one or the other. In fact, I believe Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he, she, or they were, was actually brilliant enough to see, hey, let's go ahead and overlay this on that global liquidity cycle. So you get a double kick to the upside and a double kick to the downside. Now, why do we want that? Who would want a super volatile asset? Well, I'll tell you, when you have a very volatile asset early on, it's one, somewhat expected, but two, with the rate of adoption that has grown from 2009 to where we're at now, has taken us from 0 users, let's actually say it started with one, or maybe whoever the group is, Satoshi Nakamoto, to now being, in Bitcoin and specifically in the 80 to 100 million range, potentially higher. But we're looking at that compared to the rate of adoption of the internet from 1991. Bitcoin is outpacing that, which can be expected because the internet wasn't around before the internet. Now that we have the internet, we have hyper connectivity and therefore information and thoughts and new mechanisms and new technologies can spread faster. So it stands to reason that it would actually be a little sad if Bitcoin was growing at a slower adoption rate than the internet. But that means between now and 2029, 2030, we'll have roughly 1 billion users in Bitcoin. I'm not even talking about the broader crypto market. I'm talking about specifically Bitcoin. So that being said, especially early on, having that volatility gives you this basically built-in marketing mechanism that you see price action just, oh my God, it's going to 1,200, and then it crashes. It's died. You know how many times Bitcoin has died? Hundreds. What I mean by died is mainstream media saying, oh yeah, you see that failed, it's done. No, it's not. Apparently people don't have freaking eyeballs to understand how stairs work. Have you ever walked up the stairs and when you took a step up, you say, that's the top of the stairs? No, we're not dumb freaking idiots being sculpted by some media narrative that's being funded by banks and government that are scared about transparency and financial sovereignty. So when we're looking at the information right now, every bit of it is noise. Bitcoin is within the global financial architecture, within the global finance. However, it is also something that stands alone, and it will buck the trend of all over time. It's going to define its own trend. It's still within that because we just got institutional adopters and corporations and big monies really just started to flow in with the Bitcoin spot ETFs and now the Ethereum spot ETFs. So we're only just getting started. Everything right now is noise. So let's go ahead and talk about some of that noise. PCE, okay, whatever. I do want to say this channel is brought to you by Arculus, the best crypto cold storage solution out there. Make sure you're protecting your crypto. Make sure you're protecting your future, especially when if we get any scary downside that tends to put pressure on those out there, especially financial institutions, centralized, for instance, like we saw in 2022 with the cascading failures and people had their money. They thought we're like wallets. It's safe. It's on this exchange. It's on this service. No, it's safe when you self-custody it. Make sure you protect your future. Get Arculus.com. Use code LAB10 for 10% off. It is the best crypto cold storage solution in my opinion, and they are partners of this channel, and I love them. That's why I got the hat on as well. It's also a very comfy hat. Let's go ahead and continue on. I do want to say, because we do have some data here showing that BlackRock, oh my God, BlackRock sold. Fidelity sold. Oh my God. Oh, but Cathie Wood bought. Okay, we need to stop this freaking stupid narrative that all of us use. So many people use this. BlackRock, yes, they bought when they bought exposure for their global bond fund. When they bought Bitcoin spot ETF as a position in their global bond fund, that's BlackRock buying. This metric right here, and this is a great chart, by the way, by The Rational Root, so shout out to him. He has, got all the different stuff on here from seasonality and having progress and all this. But when we're looking at the ETF flows, where is it at? Seeing minus 227 Bitcoin marked next to BlackRock does not mean that BlackRock sold. This was illustrated very eloquently by friend of the channel, Mr. James Seifert here. He says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but when an ETF has outflows, whether it's ARK or BlackRock or Grayscale, it's not ARK, Cathie Wood selling, or BlackRock, Larry Fink selling, or Grayscale, Barry Silbert selling. No, it's simply the market participants. Remember, these ETF funds are an access point for their clientele to buy exposure to Bitcoin. When they buy exposure to Bitcoin, the fund has to go buy more Bitcoin. When they sell their positions, when they say I have 7 shares of iShares or 7 shares of BTC, FBTC from Bitwise, then that means that they have to go and sell that same exposure that they previously bought because their client sold it. So this is not BlackRock selling. In fact, when you scroll down here, you can see I don't necessarily want to do TA on this. When you look at this, yes, it kind of looks like a symmetrical triangle here. I do think the pressures do lend to the upside because of the structure and the foundation of how Bitcoin is built. So when we're looking at the price action today, we're like, oh my God, it dropped 59.7 down to, oh my God, $1,700 down. It's over. Oh my God. If you feel like that, get out of the market. You're not ready to be in this market. You are not prepared to take control of your future. This market provides volatility, and it does that as a mechanism to take the money from the fearful and the impatient and the emotional and give it to those that are strategically positioned with structure and with a longer term vision. Now, if you are a trader, then you also, if you call yourself, because so many people will take 3 trades and they say, I trade Bitcoin. No, you don't. No, you don't. Can you do nothing else and pay your rent? Can you do nothing else and make sure your kid's college is taken care of? Trading means you welcome volatility because you don't give a shit if price action moves to the upside or to the downside, because that provides a spread that you can play. That provides the ability to take advantage of that market movement. Now, most of us, and I want everybody to throw a 1 in chat if you agree with this. Most of us get in this market hoping that, there could be some huge improvement on what's coming in our future, what we can do with if we invest and this market's going to explode, we're going to make money. And we have this long-term vision, yet we get sucked into 15-minute charts. And I'm not hating on that. If you're going to get sucked into 15-minute charts, do that specifically only with your trading portfolio. If you're going to get in this market and you do plan like to hold into the bull market top, then learn on these streams that we do, Discover Crypto, Frankie Candles, Blockchain Basement, DGen Alpha, Crypto Face. There's Tom Crown. There's a lot of great channels out there. Learn how to read these charts, but don't dive into these charts. If you have a hair trigger, an emotional predilection to just act every time the price moves 0.25%. You know how many times I'm doing a live stream, it says, somebody goes, this coin is crashing, whether it's Bitcoin, altcoin, doesn't matter. And I look and it's moved down they're staring at a 7-minute chart. So my point is right now, we got signals that are suggesting where this price action is going to, where it could go to, not is, but also what do we do about that? Well, let's go ahead and look at some more of the context. And by the way, shout out to everybody that is in the room right now. We got 339 people watching between Twitter and YouTube. So shout out to every single one of you here. We got some stuff to go over, so let's go over it. Okay. We got that. I'm going to leave that open because I'm going to need to actually have another one open. Elon Musk also says, at current rates of government spending, America is in the fast lane to bankruptcy. This is also one of the reasons why I Bitcoin. The devaluing and exponential decrease of you as a person, which is what inflation is. Every time they print money, they're devaluing every minute you spent working to earn that money. Bitcoin gives you essentially the counter. Some people call it a hedge. I think hedge is far too soft. It is an absolute counter to the debasement of your value as a human being if you invest in Bitcoin while you see the dollar just getting, because the only thing they can do going forward, we do not have enough discipline in this country. The only thing they can do going forward is print more money. Now, if you are a Bitcoiner, you understand that this is actually an okay thing because the value of Bitcoin is always going to be 1 Bitcoin. However, as it is priced in dollars, you get more dollars for that Bitcoin exponentially over time, the more money they print as well. So let's print. Go ahead. I've already got my safety chute on. How many of you out there have your safety chute on already? Meaning you already have a diversified bit of, whether it's all Bitcoin or diversified across crypto. How many of you have a safety chute on outside of this broken monetary fiat system? TJ told me the other day, and I did not know this, fiat, the Latin for fiat actually comes from control or control. So fiat currency, money by the governments, regulated by governments, is actually a mechanism of control. So you ain't controlling me, baby. I'm going to make sure that I have 7 or 20 or 60 parachutes on here in the crypto ecosystem, because that's the direction this is all headed. Now, when we're talking about global liquidity, okay, forget the halving. Here's the Bitcoin price. Here's the Chinese 10-year. We're looking here at the liquidity cycles, okay? Every time this bottoms, look at how this is relative to where the Bitcoin price is. Every time this bottoms, look at how like this bottomed here, but then as the expansion is the important part. This expansion right in here is relative to when we start getting that massive uptick in the price action. Expansion right here. What do we see? This is kind of the start. We obviously bottomed and moved up, but this right in here, this is the start of when we really started getting that consistent, very strong, defined parabolic uptrend where we broke previous all-time highs. Look at this. It's almost, I mean, we're coming in right at that previous all-time high. Liquidity ticks up. Oh, price expands to the upside. What are we getting right now? Same thing. We get the bottom here on the Chinese 10-year. That's relative right to when we went up. Also, we see the cycles, boom, 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 boom. Now look at this, comes down. This is about to expand. What happens when this expands? Price action to the upside. We've been showing you different versions of how this global liquidity impacts what's happening in this market. And it just, I mean, it is just, it's astonishing that we allow ourselves to get so tricked in the minutia of small time frames and getting triggered emotionally. I do think, I think I closed it. So I want to show, knocked my mouse over. Oh, Quentin, come on. Quentin had, he reshared the Rational Roots chart here. I had it up. I don't know where it went. There we go. This is another look at that same chart. This is a year-over-year change showing when that very quick expansion, the very quick expansion of new money in the system. The light blue back here, this is actually the global liquidity with Fed, European Central Bank, People's Bank of China, Bank of Japan, all of it, so on and so forth. Now, I don't know why I have the hiccups, but we see this front runs the massive uptick. This started right here, the uptick, which is here. Right when we were at previous all-time high, uptick, boom, to the upside. So I just want to make sure you guys realize this. And also, it normally takes 30 to 40 weeks post-halving for price to begin trending above its previous all-time high. It's only been 19 weeks since the fourth halving, and Bitcoin's up is only 24% away from the all-time high. So things are still pretty right on schedule. So let's not lose the forest for the trees. In addition to that, we were talking about that large buy. Seems like some major players bought the Bitcoin. We can see this right here. Seems like some major players bought the Bitcoin dip, says Ali Charts. Make sure you're following him if you're not. Wonderful, wonderful content on a daily basis. On-chain data from Sentiment Feed reveals 40,000 Bitcoin drop in exchange supply over the past 48 hours, equivalent to about $2.4 billion. This aligns with the notable surge in exchange outflows. So we're seeing a lot of tokens move off of exchange, all while we're sitting here at this price where we're still consolidating in the same range we've been in for almost 7 months now, since March 13th when we hit that previous all-time high. So I'm not necessarily worried right now. In fact, I welcome price action going down so that I can take advantage of the opportunity if it presents. Let's stop being frustrated. We talk about it in the office here at Hit Network all the time. Yeah, we are humans too. And we're sitting here like, damn, it's nice, still get opportunity, but we want these horses to run, right? We want to see this market just proving everybody in our families and all these freaking haters out there and Elizabeth Warren's, I don't even want to use words there, but we want this to run. But we just have to just remember, if we can, rather than just wanting something from the market, we can prepare to take advantage of what's happening in the market. And the miners here, man, we're seeing some, miner profitability is essentially what the Puel multiple measures. So when we're looking this as an analog, looking at compared to what, previous price action bottoms, The miner profitability also bottomed. See, boom, boom. Also bottom again, same thing. But we on all three of these cycles, previous cycles, we've seen a sell-off or a tightening of the profit margins on the miners, a reaccumulation zone, which is kind of where this is highlighting, and then the parabola. Look at this, reaccumulation zone, and then parabola. Reaccumulation zone, then what? Parabola. What's happening right now? It looks like it doesn't mean we're breaking out today or tomorrow or next week or even the week after that. In fact, I think we're going to get a lot of chop, and there's going to be some chop that's going to be really convincing. Can you imagine right now if the price action today, or even let's not be hyperbolic, let's say over the next week and a half, if the price action went like this and basically just took itself all the way back up here to 67 and tested back up here into 71, there would be so much open interest and absolute just crushing pressures in the market of opportunity for bigger players to allow that to be a bull trap, come down and wreck them and really reset that open interest. In fact, I don't want that to happen. I want this, unfortunately, and I don't want any of you to fall victim to this either. We need to realize that we have an opportunity if we just either sit on our hands or remember, make sure you're allocating your trading portfolio separate from your long-term hold portfolio and realize that we have a real possibility of dropping in the zone that I drew a few weeks ago. So considering that, and knowing that we have, the miners are kind of getting in this reaccumulation stage. We're seeing all this other data. We saw the MVRV that I showed last week and a lot of the other metrics. We have to consider also that it's very important here, directionality of the S&P 500, as I think one of my buddies, Kevin Svensson, who we have on here regularly, really, everybody talks about the correlation. Correlation isn't one for one, every movement that it makes. Correlation is more directional of risk on, risk off, right? And so once we came down here and bottom, look, S&P 500 started pushing up before Bitcoin did. Global liquidity did also. Now we did get this pushing up. Now is it before Bitcoin will? Well, there is a cautionary tale here in that we did have a pretty big sell-off on the S&P 500 and a very juicy rebound. The problem with this is we kind of have a lower high on the S&P 500. Let me just refresh this. I just want to make sure. Yeah, we got a little bit of a lower high here, which suggests, and the reason I say that is price action has been somewhat held up by the previous two all-time highs and also the big institutions not having their fill yet. The big institutions don't have their fill yet. When the big institutions don't have their fill yet, they can bring the boat back or hold it where it's at. They have the capital and the mechanisms and the hedging to do that. Why are we seeing this divergence between S&P and Bitcoin now? Well, I was just talking about that. This risk was coming back in the market. We've seen a huge amount of flows into the Bitcoin spot ETFs in this consolidation range, but also the fact that this consolidation range is, one, we overshot by having basically breaking into new all-time highs pre-halving, which we've never done. So there's a little bit of a mean reversion, I would like to argue. But then in addition to that, we're consolidating at two major levels from the last cycle that we've been looking at, and we've been talking about it for quite some time. And that is these levels right here, this level and this level. And this is the zone. We tried to get above it, couldn't. Tried to get above it, couldn't. Tried to get above it, lower highs each time, couldn't. Nice washout to the downside, right into a key zone, and then tried to get above it. And look, you have to notice, as bullish as last week's candle was, Dylan shared with us yesterday, which I had not even noticed. Looking at this on the weekly, look at this close. This is the close right here. What is that price level? Option H, if you're on PC, Alt H gives you a horizontal line. Look at that. The week closed, and a lot of people will argue that this is the true previous cycle all-time high. This was just a bit of lack of sellers, and everybody was still waiting for that $100,000 mark, but there's no new buyers coming into this, okay? And there's so many different signals looking at this, but the point is the weekly close could not even, not only get up to the, this descending trend line that it's tapped each resurgence or retrace to the upside, but it's being held at the previous cycle's all-time high zones. And now we have if we continue to see downside, notice that we will have a bit of a bearish engulfing candle here if this continues to the downside, which would suggest, at least at minimum, likely small continuation at minimum down. And this is also why I'm looking at this zone here. And I'm going to show you other reasons why here in just a moment. But in addition to Bitcoin, we also have to pay attention to what's going on with Ethereum. And Ethereum is in a bull trend. Yes, it is. It's been very frustrating, though, because it feels, one, we see it on the ETH to Bitcoin chart. It's not performing as well. But also realize Bitcoin's not the only thing with realized price. Ethereum hasn't lost the realized price it broke through despite the sharp price decline over the past 5 months. And the realized price is acting as support. And that is right in here. And that currently is at about 22.10. So let's go ahead and look at Ethereum. Where are we at? Let's go ahead and look at Ethereum really quick. And this is what I mean by Ethereum has been bleeding against altcoins. Ethereum has been bleeding against Bitcoin. This is a multi-year trend line, comes back to August 2022, descending channel coming into this. It's trying to stay in this channel, but also trying not to break this multi-year support line that goes back into March of 2020. So we're kind of in a somewhat pivotal moment right now for Ethereum as to what will likely happen, between now and December. And we've got some important stuff between now and December. We have September 17th and 18th, the FOMC, where they're going to determine the rate cuts. Is it happening? Is it not? I think everybody's leaning on the side that it's more likely happening than not. But then the question is it 25 basis points? Is it 50? And then the question is, will this be an instance where the Fed rate hike happens, or Fed rate cut happens, and markets have an impulse up and then sell off, and it marks essentially a local top or a regional top in a lot of assets? Or will this time buck the trend and, they just print into oblivion, and we also, we don't see that sell off post rate cut? That's something we all need to be what's in the cup? Bill Brower says, says, what's in the cup? Tears? Yeah, this is all full of tears right here. Now, continuing on with what we're talking about, Ethereum, we were going to look at Ethereum. Where is it at? Boom. Ethereum to Bitcoin. Still, everybody's wanting this so bad to bottom and round out. And we really need to hold this level. Otherwise, I do think we're going to be having a bit more blood in the Ethereum markets. But let's go ahead and double click on this, zoom into this. So when it's all compressed, it looks like a ton of data. So let's get in here on the 8-hour chart. So look at this. So we have this zone. Rising wedge kind of fell out of it sideways. Tried it another attempt. Could not break above these previous lows. As you can see right here. Rising wedge, broke out, tried it sideways. Finally broke out again. Could not break through these previous lows. That's a sign of bearishness, which is right here about the $2,800 mark. Came down, fell right through this. Now, this actually looks a little bit more bearish than you would initially expect, because this is not very bullish, because this fell down. This price action, let's go ahead and extend this. Let me do this there and extend this out. We have a rising level of support here, a falling level of resistance here on Ethereum. And look at how price fell through, the basically retraced back up, came right at that crux of these two intersecting different trend lines. Also, basically barely getting through the wicks here, but the candle bodies, look at this, option H. Look at these candle bodies. Look, right. All these bounce, a little bit of a wick there, bounce. And this is right. And we have these two trend lines, and the price action is rejecting. If we're hoping for this to have a pretty near-term reversal, then this needs to hold this level right here. This needs to maintain this higher low. Otherwise, we are coming down here to 23. I would actually argue a bit lower. Down here about 23.45, and then that realized price level that they were talking about. Look, we got this line here, 21.30, which is where this bounced, but that 2200 is right in here. It's kind of in no man's land in terms of price action. You could say there's some right in the zone, but I think more than anything, not to be bullish and not to be bearish, we have to realize we are, as Dr. Jeff Ross says, we're in that chop solidation period right now. Everybody wants this because the longer the time goes, this is a correction in and of itself. The longer the time goes, the more people get frustrated and start acting bizarrely or start acting emotionally because they're tired of missing moves. Sometimes the price, their portfolio gets so low, then they're like, F it. They just throw it all in, one last attempt, and they get chopped out and they go, the market's a scam. No. Our inability to be patient is what the scam is. Now, a lot of this is following what's going on here. Now, when we zoom in on this, if we look at this on the 1 hour chart, notice we talked about this earlier, but we got to bring it up again. We do have this kind of Quasimodo crooked shoulder, head and shoulders structure. Rise, fail. Larger rise, fail. Smaller rise, fail. The measurement out of this, measure this from the neckline, which is where all these points are bouncing. That's the neckline. Measure this up to the highest point of this head. This is known as the head. And we take this to this neckline, and the neckline was roughly about right here, right? Yeah, so maybe a little bit further down. It's not exact. It's going to give you a general idea. The target is down here, 56.3 on this. But then you zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the 4 hour. Then you zoom out a little bit and you realize, man, this had an impulse, fail, larger impulse, fail, smaller impulse, fail. If this were to play out from the top of the head, okay, down to the neckline, this is why I have crosshairs on my chart. And if you need them, just right click on your chart. Come down here to settings and right here on canvas, 1, 2, 3, the fourth one down, canvas, crosshair. You can change the color if I want it blue, you see, or yellow. I just tried to do it yellow or white so you guys can see it. But I just wanted a different, let's do orange. No, yeah, let's keep it yellow. And then you can change the line style here. So if you want a full line, etc. The reason I do this is because when I'm moving my mouse, without having to do lines all the time, I can move my mouse down to say, where's the neckline here? Okay, right here is roughly the neckline. So roughly right here, I'm looking at this bounce, this, and this. Now I'm going to move this to roughly right there. That target is down here, 52,230. But Kelly, you're being so bearish. Man, that means you haven't been watching the show. I'm so freaking bullish on this market. I just know we're in such a contentious place now that I almost said constitution, institutions and corporations and big money's coming in. They can endure a 5-year or 20-year waiting period, and we're over here being frustrated with 6 months. Man, when we look at this on the larger picture, we look at this on the daily, the BLX, this is a Bitcoin liquid index, macro bullish structure, previous all-time high. Where we're sitting right here, if the price action does, drop a little bit more, maybe even, see that 52 would basically be testing this range right here, this little zone here. If we drop below this, and actually, for instance, if we do have this megaphone pattern and we continue this line out, boom, like that, then this would also suggest if we do lose this and come down in here, we're going to be testing the point at which the Bitcoin ETF was approved, which is right here, January 10th. This is that top. The subsequent sell-off, the people go, oh, we were all wrong, and they get out, and then the market says, well, buy, suckers, and just runs away. Do not put yourself in a position to where you get chopped out of this market because you're being impatient. Even as bullish as I am, there's still a possibility that maybe price does nothing all the way through the end of the year and it just continues to range sideways. That wouldn't be out of the question, especially with these big players, especially with the consideration. I'm not going to say the word, but especially with the consideration of what's happening here. But then even looking at this metric, let's look at this. Where are we at? This is a white line. I just wanted to pause there so you could realize there's nothing out of the ordinary about what's happening right now. We actually were a little overheated before. Got some mean reversion coming back in line with kind of where price should be. Peter John Lurin says anything well below 64K to 69K is a buy zone. You know what? I mean, I think anywhere between here and $80,000 is a buy zone. You know, as it goes up, when we see where this market's going and how many players are getting involved, I mean, I'm not worried. I'm just sometimes frustrated with how damn patient I have to be. Let's get it. We can all vent. Are you frustrated with how patient you're having to be right now? Is it challenging you to like, God, man, I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. It is. Making life-changing money should not be easy. It's difficult to shake off the paradigms of everything we've ever known and also face ourselves as emotional beings, which some of us, especially men, we don't want to. And women, sometimes you don't admit the emotions you're having. You know, this is how it is. No, it's not. That's what you're feeling. Two different things. Okay? And it goes for everybody. These markets are here to absolutely exponentially change your future if you practice what's right for you. You don't over allocate. You're okay with enduring prices where the price is under your entry point if you're a long-term holder, but also knowing when to cut your losses, knowing when to make sure you're picking the right assets. Bitcoin's not an asset I would ever suggest cutting losses on, but if you're holding a meme coin and it had a parabolic run and came all the way back down 100%, unless you know something different or have, let's be smart. Yeah, I agree with you there, B&B Rosenthal. I just don't like how past interest rates have pushed the market down. You know, it's gone both ways. Matthew Hyland has talked about this a lot. It's not just it happens and the market falls. You've had both. It's about 50-50. I just think that somewhat recent times it's been more pervasive. But let's go ahead and dive back in here. In addition to all this, we've also got, where are we at? Yeah. Just look at where we're at. The date coming up in November, price action coming to the upside. Now, for those of you that are trading, I do want to just shout out, we've had some incredible calls that have been made recently in our CoinW Signals Lab deal. And I'm just want to just remind you all, sign up right here. It says free traders group. Sign up from this link, not from Twitter, because there's too many fake profiles. I've got like 40 different fake profiles, people impersonating me. Right here below, youtube.com/@BitLab Academy. Come to this live stream if you're watching this on Twitter. This link right here, if you click on that link, it will take you to this page right here. Where is it at? I don't know. Just disappeared after I had it all set up. It's okay. Boom, right there. The Signals Lab right here is where it's going to take you. It's going to bring you to this access to Signals Lab. I'm only saying this because people don't know how to read, apparently. If you can't follow simple instructions, you're going to have a really hard time trading. But we've got an incredible group set up. I just want to point it out. There's step 1, step 2, and step 3. I tried to make it as easy as possible. In addition to those steps, it's first off, you register with CoinW right here. The link is right there. Click on it. It has to be through our CoinW link to get involved in the Signals Lab here. Once you sign up, you can find your UID. So looking at this, where's my mouse? Looking at this, see where that yellow arrow is pointing up to the little person, your account. Once you pull that up, you see your UID. See it circled? And then once you find your UID, right down here, it's very simple. You see it's even outlined for you right there where it says example /verify space and then the numbers. So let's do that. /verify space and then the numbers. Now my numbers, it's going to say that I'm rejected because that is not it's going to check against the CoinW deal. But then once you do that, you get into Signals Lab. We had one of our pro traders on the stream yesterday here on BitLab. But we've got, we got a 2K to 10K challenge starting Tuesday of this coming week. We've got the scalp signals have just been money, absolute money, just printing in here, and it's just nonstop. Exactly, to take profit, opening, the X factor, all the different signals, stop losses. Get in there. That's scalp, swing. It's not just Bitcoin. It's other coins as well, as you can see in here. So get involved, get in there. I'm doing is the deposit bonus active through today. Today's the 30th. That whole deal was through the 29th. So maybe we're gonna have some other really good competitions and such coming out here very, very soon, and also some ability to win bonuses and money I can give away to you guys for participating in different trade competitions. We're going to be doing all kind of stuff, and we got some other awesome individuals that are going to be involved there as well. So now make sure you just do that. That was right below in the description here where it says Free Traders Group. You see right there, boom. It's also pinned in the top of the live comments. We've had 50 or 60 people sign up. Only 24 of you, 24 or 30 of you have actually got involved here in the Telegram where there's live trading signals. I mean, guys, get involved. Now, coming back over to Bitcoin, this is the arbiter of what's happening right now. Why is that? Because where's the dang chart? It's because when we're looking at the others right now, this is still sitting in a precarious situation. It's still, we want it to be bullish, but if you actually look at this, it kind of looks like it's attempting another move to the downside, which just means if you have positions, you can have confidence in your positions and find areas where you can lower your average entry if you bought anywhere above the price point the price point that it currently is. Like I'm going to be stacking in next week to quite a few things. I stacked into BitTensor yesterday. Price dropped. But that's the DCA portfolio I've been sharing with y'all. So there's a difference between my position DCA portfolio where I'm adding it, periodic and regular intervals on projects that I think, are going to do very well in this bull cycle. And then the trading portfolio where I'm actively trading, then I'm in there, like I'm looking at patterns, I'm looking at price action, I'm looking at what's, all these things. But when we're looking at this is telling me if we lose this level right in here, remember, this is the others. So everything minus the top 10, then this is suggesting that we'll likely have a bit more bleeding in the alts. And so when we're considering what to do right now, we look at the liquidity, look at this liquidity below us. We got a nice little wick to the downside here, but let's actually refresh this just because I think I did this before the stream was even on, and it doesn't refresh. So look, what was I talking about before I even saw this? The liquidity. What happened? It tapped that liquidity. We still have a bit of liquidity below us if the market wants to make a run for that free money. All they have to do is go down there because people are leveraged long, still holding it, and there's liquidity down here that they can sweep down there and essentially just trigger these longs to sell, fills those positions, reverses, and then washes out the longs and the shorts. The market right now, everybody, is setting up. I actually just did an article on it. If you come over here, if you guys haven't seen this, watch it because it is pretty darn funny. Kellum, I'm a member. Actually, we can go here. The Street. If you guys have not been checking this out, make sure you do. TheStreet.com is pulling together one of the best crypto. It's awesome. You come here, you go to crypto. And they got a number of different people on here. They've got Mario Nafal, Scott Melker, the Altcoin Daily Brothers, Wendy O, George, Cryptos R Us, Natalie Brunel, myself, DZ, Joshua Jake. I actually just did an article on here a little bit ago where it's right here. It's the first one on here. And I was talking about what's going on. This market right now is so primed for ultra bullishness. It's kind of like when you see the space shuttle or the SpaceX sitting there. Yeah, it could be sitting up there, for a day, a week, however long for them to get it fully And then once it goes, it goes. That's what's happening right now when we're looking at this market. I did a whole video in here and everything. You guys should definitely check out thestreet.com and Roundtable. We got some big things coming with that. But when we're looking at this, I mean, we're still within the range. Take advantage of an opportunity. If this does wash out, most people are going to be scared. But because you heard it here, because you're prepared, because you are doing this in a way that's risk mitigated and strategically minded, you could take advantage of this. And the reason why this is important, because if this happens, then that means that the break of this is going to happen. That's why you need to be aware of that. So let's stay prepared. And again, in addition to all this, I do also want to shout out Constellation DAG, channel partners as well. And, I love what they're doing with their project. Drew from Blockchain Base Me put me onto them about a year and a half ago. We recently partnered with them about 6 months ago or so, 4 months ago or something, just because of what they're doing. Involvement with the Department of Defense, partnerships with IBM and Panasonic. They also have this hackathon, because this is what you need to understand when you're considering assets. And yes, we are partners with Constellation DAG. But when you look at this, when you look at the asset and realize that this asset is sitting in a position right now with this massive falling wedge, looking like it's trying to bottom, this is not even previously really been rolled out to the retail side. This is what this Constellation DAG Metagraph Hackathon is basically doing. They have $100,000 in prizes. You still have, if you could still sign up today, if you're a developer or know somebody is, they have 625 people, 625 different developments that are happening, basically bringing everything that they're already utilizing, the technology that they're utilizing for the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Space Force. And, it talks with the Pentagon right now. And I mean, you talk about what's going on with Constellation DAG, unprecedented data scalability, interoperability among data types, user-centric data ownership, defense-grade data security. That's something that impresses me when you think about CrowdStrike and the 2.9 billion records that were recently stolen from the government. And all of this, and if you want to read up on this, I'll actually retweet this. You can check that out. Learn DAG. It is going to change the world. In fact, I'm gonna post this right now, and I'll give you 3 minutes to retweet this, and I will draw Constellation. I can't spell Constellation. There we go. Constellation. It's going to change the world. Already integrated with DoD, USA, and talking with Pentagon for further implementation now. Proud. You guys want, I'm just posting this so I can give you guys $100. Proud to be partners with Dagnum. Retweet. Okay, you guys got 3 minutes. Retweet this. Boom. It's posted. It's on my page. My page is right here at Kelly Kellam. Make sure you're following me, Kelly, Kellam. And this is the tweet right here. I'm going to post it in the live chat. Everybody go and retweet like that. And while we're doing that, we're going to do whatever the number is divided by 4. And if that doesn't get to a number, we will divide that by 3. That's how we're going to pick. Green Day Profits, you're still in here. We got a bunch of people in the room still. Green Day Profits, pick a number between 30 and 50. Now, while you guys are doing that and you're retweeting that, I'm going to come back over here. We're going to do a little bit more TA. We got to look at let's look at DOT actually. DOT starting to break down. Oh, it's the end of the world. No, I've been stacking into my DOT position. Yeah, come down, baby. Like, come down here because what they've been working on, I'm going to go out and meet up with them, with their team and the little conference when I go to Singapore in a couple weeks. But it's great to see everything that they've been working on. And look at this, just pulling back into the golden pocket. If we lose that, I'm looking at a price action 392. If we come back down here, I'm going to be a net buyer of this because of how much they are building. DOT has been building. It's not just DOT, it's their entire parachain ecosystem, and also being interoperable with EVM, Ethereum virtual machine, bringing in that interoperability. You know, they have, we talked about the other day with Sentiment, showing RWA assets in the crypto ecosystem with the most development, and one of the parachains was on there, Centrifuge. I did a video about Centrifuge a few weeks ago. So this, I mean, it's not even worth doing price action on stuff right now. It's like, where do you want to find your entries? Because the market is going to do very well in the very near future, whether it's between now and the end of September or after November. The market is going to be doing very well. It's just all about finding what you want exposure to. Near, stair-stepping down. Look, rejection, holding this level. If this comes down, I'm looking at price action retesting back at 334, potentially a little bit lower down here to 270, which I think would be a freaking steal. Ultimately, what we want to see, if we're watching near on the weekly, we'd like to see near push up and break. It'll likely be somewhere over in this zone here, but break above this trend line. If we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of work to do. Things are looking like they want to swing. They want to swing people down. Okay, now let me see. The Green Day Profits, did you pick a number? 35. All right, now let me go ahead, do the math on 35, and we are going to pick a winner for $100 USDT, and we will make sure you're following me on Twitter so we can communicate, and so we can also get you taken care of. So let's go to that tweet, and let's give away that $100 USDT. Where is... here it is. 10 of you got, only 10 of you. You guys got a 1 in 10 shot. So let's do it. You guys are active. Hey, I'm going to give away to people that are active. So it's 35. It was divided by 4, right? And then divided by 3, just to make sure we're trying to get as close to a round number as possible. 35 divided by 4. That's 8.75 divided by 3. 2.9. So that's closest to a whole number. 2.9. So 3. So 1. Oh, actually here. Come on. View post engagement, repost. Here we go. 1, 2. Ike Kindles, hit me. Hey, follow me on Twitter. I'm following you right now. We are going to get you taken care of. So I'm taking a screenshot of that so I can make sure to watch it. So thank you, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. We're going to head over to, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I have an interview I'm doing today right after this. Actually, I totally forgot. Starting right now-ish. That will be going out tomorrow at 10 a.m. here on BitLab. Get in there. Show some love. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful weekend. I will see you. Remember, on those lives, on the streams that happen on Saturday, those tend to be when gifted memberships and stuff like that, because I can be live in the chat. So get involved there. But that's all I got today, everybody. Adios and muchacho over and out. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Adios.